Hello, everyone. I feel like we're sideways. Thanks for watching Access Hockey MI, and wherever you are in quarantine and lockdown during this huge pandemic that we are facing, we super appreciate you watching our videos still and, talking hockey, because that's just what we love to do.
We're the best thing on the internet right now.
In and out of quarantine, and we're super humble, so thank you. Today we're going to continue our prospect coverage on the 2019 draft list that we have had so far. So we've talked about Moritz Seider a lot, so we didn't do an initial video on him. And then last week we talked about Robert Mastrosimone, so check that out. Today we're going to talk about Swedish player Elmer Soderblom. I got it.
You nail it.
It might not sound as good as like a Swede saying it, but
it's pretty darn close.
We're kind of Swedish. So we got him in 2019, like I said, 156 overall, and I'm just going to put it out there, he's huge.
He's a big boy.
He knows he's big. He's 6'7", 227 pounds, and 18 years old. So needless to say, we've got a huge forward, and let's start talking about him.
You could say he's a head above the rest.
Because
he is. So 2019-20, he spent the entire season with Frolunda HC. Now they have multiple levels of Frolunda HC. He spent a lot of it with the J20s, which is their second tier elite. So that means it's kind of like the AHL of the Swedish league. He did spend some time with Frolunda HC at the SHL level. Didn't tally any points, but still it was good exposure for him. But with the junior 20s, he had 55 points in 36 games. So he can obviously produce at that elite junior level, being that he's only 18 years old. So he's got some skill there. It's just translating it to that higher level, which I think is going to be something the Wings want to see. Yes. But so far, he's shown some really good offensive prowess. One of the biggest things would be his puck protection. Now, we don't have a lot of exposure to Swedish hockey television.
And we did look. We looked a lot. So we really, when we go into these prospect analysis, we really like to see the games. We like to go see where they're at currently. We like to see a full game. We like to see a couple games. Our only really huge exposure we have is like the Hlinka Gretzky Cup that he played in. We've got some development and some training camp. We saw him in development camp, training camp.
Yeah.
We saw him in training camp. We watched a little bit of his developing. So you were just talking.
You
can keep going.
So all that to say, the exposure we have is not, elaborate, but with having a little bit of a view of him and how he plays, it's kind of easy to pick out that he is really good at puck protection. It's a very European style, so that's something that you're going to probably notice as he gets more and more familiar with U.S. ice when that time comes.
And you guys probably know this, the U.S. ice differs from the European ice as 15 feet either way. So it's got a lot of differences as far as the speed of the play here, and that's something that they have to get used to. So she said puck protection, and I think another great thing that he's got going for him right now is his net front presence. And I think that's huge in deflecting shots. And I think if you're familiar with Michael Rasmussen's style of play, you're going to see you're going to see a lot of similarities between him and Soderblom, because I believe that that's the kind of player that he wants to be, is a net front presence, hangs back a little bit from the play, gets into the net. He's not a net crasher, which is a huge deal, just because when there's a lot of commotion in front of the net, you're chipping away at it.
I think he'd have a hard time getting up if he crashed the net, to be honest.
I can't imagine a body like his in front of me screening as a goaltender. I think that's a huge asset that he's going to have in that big body of his, is being net front and being not a net crasher, but just good at deflecting and reading plays as they come to the net.
He's a composed player. He doesn't lose his mind or lose his cool. He thinks things through a lot, and you can find a lot of similarities, I think, with a European style versus a North American style. And it is, I don't want to over exaggerate that, but there is massive differences. And I think that's one of them, because they have the bigger ice. They have to be more strategic with their passing. A lot of it is passing plays, and I think that's where he excels, especially in front of the net. He's ready for that play to start. He's not going to be the one barreling into it, but he knows when to set back on his hunches a little bit.
Yeah, so those have been some positives. So the puck protection, net front, he thinks through things, he's very composed. An obvious improvement that we think he needs to make is his skating. So because he's so big, his acceleration is a little labored. His skating in general is a little labored. He reminds us a little bit of former Muskegon Lumberjacks Igor Afanasyev, just in the way they're both big guys. He skates, it's a little labored, and I think that he knows that just because he is so big, and I do think it has something to do with it, but nothing that can't be fixed with practice, of course, and just training, which he will do.
He will do lots of.
He's going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing too in like interviews and things like that. He knows that's something he has to work on. It doesn't make him less of a player, just is another area he has to improve. And when he does, he's going to be that much more of a
because you
player.
can tell when he's playing against. So we watched the Hlinka Gretzky Cup of 2018 where Canada beat them.
Tons of great prospects.
Yeah, it was a good game. So it was Sweden versus Canada. So watch the 2018 Cup. That was great. If you watch that, you can tell a lot of the skilled smaller players of Canada were able to kind of get the puck from him. He was a little hard at handling a pass sometimes where a smaller player can quick get in there.
Yep.
So that's something that I think he needs to get a little bit better on.
Agility.
Yes,
almost,
agility and skating.
And another thing is to a little bit stronger two-way sense, and I mean that in the sense that he's really good in the offensive zone where he's perched in front of that net. He's a center and a winger. He's versatile in that way. You can tell he's more comfortable in the center. But with that, I think it kind of limits him a little bit where the neutral and the defensive zone, he's not quick to get there and he's not overly comfortable. So I think expanding that a little bit more will be something he needs to work on. And again, that's probably something he already knows.
Yeah. I mean, and we're not saying any of this is like he doesn't know this or like he's ever going to watch this and be like, oh, yeah.
He does this for a living.
Yeah, so. He knows what he's going to do. This is kind of our analysis from what we've seen. So starting 2021, as this season has been canceled for a lot of leagues and is on major pause for the other ones.
Yes, we're just waiting for it.
Where do you think he's going to start 2021?
Easily, I would say Frolunda HC, and we were talking previously too how he was with the J20 for quite some time for the season before it got suspended and canceled. So with that, I think the Wings are going to want to see him with that top tier talent, how he produces against full-grown men. Now Frolunda, much like Mannheim, where Cider came from, their top tier, the average age is like 26 or 27. So you put an 18 or 19-year-old in there and you can really see how they're going to gel with that. Yeah. It's a good indicator of how they're going to do at the AHL and NHL level.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that he's going to need a little bit more development, basically, and I think that there's no better place to develop than in the European leagues as far as like the higher tiers and even the lower, the junior leagues too. I mean, they're incredible hockey teams and they're incredible at development as well, and I just love the European style of play, and it's just great. So we think that he's going to need a little bit more development. Let us know what you think about his development and if you've seen him play, what you thought of him. If you're in Sweden, tell us if we are accurate or if we're completely off. We'd love to hear.
We would love to make it there one day and watch
that'd be great.
Guys.
Thanks again so much for watching, and you are all in our thoughts and prayers, and we appreciate you coming alongside us in this quarantine and still being there with us.
There's still hockey to be had.
There is. So thanks so much for watching.
Thanks so much for hockey.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.